All right. Good evening. We got rid of our echo, so we're good to go. It's March 26th, 2026. It's 6:05 p.m. And we'll start the Deerfield Conservation Commission meeting at this point. It's a hybrid meeting. It's a Zoom and also well as attendance here in the main meeting room. The meeting will be held in a hybrid fashion with the opportunity for both in-person attendance and remote participation. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on the agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. The meeting will be held in person at the main meeting room of Deerfield Municipal Offices in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A. Anyone attending to record or intending to record the meeting must identify themselves to the clerk and provide their name and address for the record. So everything's been posted, so the meeting is open. Called meeting guidelines for this evening. Please speak one at a time and follow the Deerfield Code of Conduct, which is to be respectful, considerate, courteous, concise, and non-repetitive. And we also ask that any questions from the public be addressed to the chair so I can disseminate them to the appropriate people here. And also, unless presenting, please keep your comments at 2 or 3 minutes or less. So with that, I'll identify the members, make sure we have a quorum. Pete Law, I'm here. Here.
Kate Devlin, here.
John Libby, here.
Ben Byrne, here.
All right, so we have the 4 commissioners in attendance, so we're able to proceed. The first item on the agenda is to review the minutes of February 12th, 2026, which is in the meeting packet. I have taken a look. The commissioners, have you had a chance to review any requests for changes and revisions? Okay, I hear none, see none, so I take a motion to accept the minutes from 2/26 as submitted.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented from 2/12 to 26.
Kate Devlin, I'll second it.
Okay. So the motion on the table is to accept the minutes. We'll do a quick roll call to approve that motion. Sean Libby.
Aye.
Ben Byrne.
Ben Byrne, aye.
Kate Devlin.
Kate Devlin, aye.
Pete Law, aye.
Ben wasn't there.
I think we found out if we read them that we don't have to do the abstain.
Still vote, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that we can move on to new business. We have 2 new items this evening. The first one is a RDA submitted by Deerfield Academy for their boathouse. It's a request for determination of applicability filed by the trustees of Deerfield Academy to see if work depicted on submitted plans for 518 River Road, property identified in the assessor's record as map 82, lot 4, is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. I think we have the representative from the consulting engineer here. So, Andrew. Yeah, you may have to. We have a really bad audio system up here, so you have to almost swallow the mic to hear us.
Zoom things have changed on me. I think you can share your screen. Does it? Oh my God. I don't understand.
If you click on more, you should see the little shield.
This is all, it just looks different than what I'm used to when I share. I'm the host. Why am I not the host? Hold on.
You're the host. The host tools.
Why is it showing up in the sidebar like that? I'm not used to that. Those tools. So share.
Yeah.
I don't want to
No,
share.
you don't wanna
I
share.
know,
No,
I don't want
we
to
should
share.
share.
I do. It's just suddenly everything looks different. Can share. Oh, who can share? I see. Sorry, it's just all different than what I'm used to. Okay, you should be able to share now. I don't know.
Yeah, and before and once we get that working, if you could just both introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Good evening, members of the commission. Oh, I guess we really do have to swallow this. All right. Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Andrew White. I'm a registered professional engineer in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, representing the trustees of Deerfield.
And I'm Carlene Eaton. I'm the wetland scientist, also from Ty and Bond.
Sorry, I didn't hear her name. I didn't hear your name. Sorry.
Carlene Eaton.
All right, this evening's project, this is the boathouse, the Deerfield Academy Boathouse, as mentioned, situated at 518 River Road in Deerfield. The project itself, as shown on the screen, this is the existing site. North is the top of the page. River Road is on the west, on the left-hand side of the page, and the Connecticut River is bisecting the middle of the screen here. Here we go. Now with the north-oriented page right on this plan, this is a existing conditions plan. The Connecticut River is now on the bottom of the page. Our area of work is situated to the north and south of the existing boathouse and along the west side. So the Academy is proposing to install a new shed for the storage of crew boats during the winter months, as well as to remove a small portion of the gravel driveway that is just north of the existing boathouse and replace that with a porous bituminous pavement for washing down of the crew boats. And then the grass circle that is in the middle of their gravel turnaround to remove the loam and replace that with the gravel that is removed at the establishment of that bituminous or the porous bituminous concrete pad. Stormwater management for the project will be accommodated through a bioretention swale located just east of the storage shed that is located highlighted in blue and located south of the existing boathouse. Also, the porous pavement pad itself will offset any of the stormwater runoff from that pad in any of the washing activities, as that is situated on a full gravel substrate that will accept all that stormwater. We have perimeter soil erosion controls primarily to the east of the property, as the bulk of the property or the bulk of this area is shedding to the east down to the Connecticut River. So we have our perimeters there, as well as an area identified for soil stockpiling, which will be wrapped with soil erosion controls. And we do have a construction entrance that will be established at the driveway entering the site. The delineation was performed in November of last year, and the commission chair did have a chance to go out to the site and walk it with us. So that's an overview of the project. I'd welcome any questions.
Yeah, just for the other commissioners, both Tim Coles, who's our conservation agent, and I were there on March 11th, I believe, for a site visit. So, any questions from the commissioners? And before you have any questions, I would point out, you can see on this shot here, the limits of the riverfront, the 200-foot riverfront, the 100-foot riverfront, the 100-foot buffer zone on the lower side, and also just on the top side, right on the border of their scope of work, if you will, on the bottom side is the limit of the rare species. So everything that is being proposed is being done outside of those jurisdictional areas. So just wanted, it's a little hard to read the font in our meeting packet. So just to point that out.
That's helpful.
And Tim, you can jump in if you wish, but we were out there and during our site visit, I did not see anything that jumped out at me as any real concern, and anything different than the details of the project that was presented.
Yeah, I seemed pretty straightforward to me. Nothing jumps out.
Yep. Okay. So that's kind of the background. John, Ben, Kate, any questions, any concerns?
No, Kate Devlin, I don't have any concerns. Because like you said, it looked to me like it was going to be outside of the
Yeah.
things, but
And it's pretty minimal
yeah.
impact. There is Andrew, I know you can see the circle there. There is a replication area proposed because they are taking some of the material out. So could you explain that a bit too? I might have missed it. I was writing some notes.
Do you mean the rain garden instead of replication area?
Oh, I'm sorry, rain guard on this one. Yeah, I'm on to thinking of the next one. Sorry. Yes.
Perfect. So the rain garden is situated here on the east side of the proposed shed. So that is, we'll have bioretention soil below the surface, and then it will be seeded with New England grass species for wet, moist sites. And that'll fill up with water as it's directed from the west to the east, and then it will gently overtop and then continue on its natural course down to the Connecticut River.
Yeah. So I correct myself. For the record, this is RDA for determination. So there's no replication area needed, but they put in a rain garden there for that purpose. So thank you. Anything else? Ben or Sean, we can't see you on the screen, but
John Libby?
No.
Nope, I have no further questions. It looks like it's outside our jurisdiction.
okay. So
Yep, Ben Byrne. I concur.
okay. So I would suggest maybe we take a motion for, I believe it's a -3 determination, along with the standard conditions for Deerfield conditions for erosion control, that type of thing. But I believe it's -3 would be the appropriate, if I remember it, and I didn't bring the form with me, so I'm doing it on long-term memory, but I think that would be correct.
Yeah, -3 is the work described in the request is within the buffer zone as defined in the regulations, but will not alter an area subject to jurisdiction under the act. Therefore, said work does not require the filing of a notice of intent subject to the following conditions, if any.
Thank you.
I think we were actually looking for a category 2. The work described in the request is within the area subject to protection under the act, but will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area. Therefore, said work does not require the filing of a notice of intent. So you do have an upland review area from the wetlands to the west. I could pull that up.
The determination choices.
We have 100-foot review beyond the 200-foot zone is what you're saying, and that's why it's within the jurisdiction and you want a -2.
Correct. Let me just,
Okay.
here's the, this is the upland review area to the wetland to the west of the
There's
bow
a
house.
And that's what that line is. So it's not actually connected.
Oh,
Stream that's in purple. It's the line for that. Yeah. They're, it's in here.
yeah, I agree with the negative too.
Yeah. Just reading through it too. I think that's fine. Kate, Ben, do you agree? And
Yeah,
we would put in just the standard conditions of erosion control, but I think it's within your scope. You pretty much know the Deerfield standards, so that's what I would look for if everybody agrees.
John Libby, I'll make a motion for the RDA Deerfield Academy Boathouse application at 518 River Road to be a -2 determination with the use of the standard Deerfield order of conditions.
Okay. Motion
Ben
has
Byrne,
been-
I'll second.
Okay. We got a motion and been second. Any further comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, then there's a motion on the table. I'm going to take a roll call vote to accept that motion. Sean Libby,
John Libby, aye.
Ben Byrne,
Ben Byrne, aye.
Kate Devlin,
Kate Devlin, aye.
Pete Law, aye.
Thank you very much.
So that's good. -2, and we'll get that put together. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you both very much. Appreciate your time. The next item this evening on the agenda is Mass DOT 5 and 10 in Mill Village Rotary. Considering a notice of intent filed by the Mass DOT District 2 for intersection improvements on the Greenfield roads, routes 5 and 10 at Mill Village Road and North Main Street, Mass DOT project on number 613708. We did receive the DEP file number later or the middle of the afternoon. But we do have a standing policy that we would request information on any given hearing at least 3 days prior to that. So I'm reluctant to hold to open the hearing this evening because I haven't had a chance to review. There were some comments from DEP that probably will take some review and research. But we do have the representative here tonight from the Mass DOT, and I would certainly be open to a discussion and presentation of the plans, and we have a little bit of a discussion back and forth without opening up a specific hearing. So we have we're not looking at doing any conditions or anything of that nature, but just kind of a learning expedition. If the applicant is willing to do that, if not, we'll see you at the end of April. But we're good to spend some time listening tonight. And I apologize because once it gets in late like that during the day, a lot of all the commissioners work except for me. And I only work a little bit on the side. We just didn't have time to review.
Even though I know this is informal, I would say let's just open the hearing because if you're listening to it be introduced, that is sort of accepting evidence. We'll just open it and continue it. Does that make sense?
You sure it's kosher to open a hearing?
Yes. Yeah, we can open it before, we just can't close it before we have, we do have the DOT, but yeah, I think if you're going to take evidence, you should be in the hearing.
Okay.
If we open the hearing, does that put us on a clock?
No, I don't believe so.
Is as long as the applicant is willing to continue,
Yeah, and,
the
yeah, we did
hearing. And
discuss this,
the
that
applicant
if
is nodding her
people-
head, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say that just to be safe, let's open the hearing so that it is, everything is official.
Okay. Well, thank you, Amy, and keep me straight on the rules and regulations of town and state policies and requirements. So I will go ahead and then open up the hearing for the Mass DOT 5 and 10 Mill Village Rotary Notice of Intent filed by Mass DOT. So that hearing is open, and we will. The applicant is here to present some information. So if you would just state your name and so forth, and go ahead.
Pete, can you read the notice into the record? Or I can do it.
Read this part.
Okay. Pursuant to the Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, the Deerfield Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on March 26th, 2026 at 6 p.m. to consider a notice of intent filed by Mass DOT District 2 for intersection improvements on Greenfield Road, routes 5 and 10 at Mill Village Road and North Main Street. Mass DOT Project 613708.
Okay. I said that earlier, but I guess I didn't say it when I was doing the hearing thing. So keep me straight, and it's all good. But yeah. So, anyways, your name?
Hi, can you hear me through the mic?
Yeah, you have to get a little
A
bit
little closer? Okay,
Yeah,
there we
thanks.
go. My name is Robin Hunter. I'm here on behalf of MassDOT District 2. And Amy, would you be able to allow me to share my screen? And I'm also joined by Danielle Spicer of McFarland Johnson, who is prepared the stormwater report on behalf of MassDOT. And
Daniel Spicer and who's
Danielle Spicer, she's joining remotely.
okay.
So you should be able to share now.
Okay, great. Okay. And is that coming through on Zoom? There we go. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I'll be presenting on the proposed roundabout project at the intersection of routes 5 and 10 and Mill Village Road. Here you can see the location map. Oops. So for the project need, project is needed to improve intersection safety, improve roadway drainage and the outfall. It results in no new drainage points. It also improves pedestrian and bicycle accommodations. The image you see on the bottom left-hand side is a crash diagram. From the period of 2018 to 2023, there were 18 crashes at this location that were reported, and almost 40% of those involved injury, including at least one cyclist. And on the right-hand side, you can see an image of the failing head wall at Bloody Brook, the existing failing drainage head wall. The proposed project is a single-lane roundabout with the pedestrian and bicycle facilities, lighting, and drainage structures. It includes the paved roadway, a cement concrete truck apron with a raised centered landscape apron, similar to what you see in the photo here. The outside diameter of the roundabout is 140 feet, and it has mountable low reveal curbing along the roadway edges and center apron to accommodate large farm equipment and tractor trailer off-tracking. We know that this was an issue on a different MassDOT project in Deerfield, so all large farm equipment should be able to navigate the proposed roundabout. And here's a kind of a schematic of the roundabout. Page right is north here, and on each of the approaches, traffic is directed around splitter islands and directed around the roundabout in a counterclockwise direction. And here I have a map of the wetland resource areas mapped. I know we had some discussion in the field. There was a culvert that wasn't not relocated during previous field work, but we did see that during the site visit that we conducted last week. The proposed work and resource areas, there are proposed permanent impacts to bordering vegetated wetlands for a roundabout. We have, through the design process, steepened the slopes of the roundabout to minimize fill within wetlands. A grass swale is also proposed in the southwest corner of the roundabout. And there are temporary impacts for access, utility work, and outfall removal. There are beneficial impacts to bank from removal of the failing head wall and moving the proposed stormwater outlet further into the uplands, and permanent impacts to riverfront area from new impervious surface. The project also proposes sediment and erosion controls at the limits of work. And here's a table just showing the proposed impacts currently. It's 745 square feet of temporary impacts to BVWs, 375 square feet of permanent impacts, that 10 feet of impacts to bank from the head wall removal, temporary and permanent impacts to riverfront area, both in the 0 to 100 and 100 to 200 foot area. That's 65 square feet of permanent impact within the 100-foot riverfront area is related to the outfall, the proposed relocated outfall. And here's a diagram of proposed work in resource areas. I don't think you can see oh, you can't see my cursor, okay. This, again, page right is north on this diagram, and I was planning to just kind of walk through the individual impacts. I show temporary BVW impacts in yellow, permanent BVW impacts in red, and purple for isolated wetlands. So on the top here, oh, sorry, lost my cursor again. Okay, this is a proposed temporary BVW impact for utility pole relocation here. This is a permanent impact proposed for the grass swale, which is located here at that green arrow. Also, permanent impacts related to fill for the roundabout slopes and the proposed grass swale. And here is a temporary impact for utility pole access. And on the north east quadrant of the roundabout, we have additional areas of permanent impacts for fill within BVW. Again, we substantially reduced those impacts through the design process by steepening the roundabout slopes. We also have a proposed temporary impact related to the wetland replication area, which I'll get more into in a later slide. And at the bottom here, you can see the proposed temporary impacts for the relocation of the outfall in the blue circle there. And so the next few slides go over the outfall. I know in the field, Pete had a few questions about that. This is the existing conditions. You can see in the yellow circle, that's the failing head wall. It's slumping into Bloody Brook currently. And in the red dotted circle, you can see that the pipe is actually completely separated from the head wall. So definitely in need of repair there. So MassDOT is proposing to pull the outfall about 60 feet to the upland to the west there, and proposing a flared end section and riprap stone for pipe ends to protect that outfall from erosion. On the bottom right, you can see a slightly smaller flared end section and a similar riprap protection there. And the existing invert is 210.19 feet in elevation, and proposed is 211.78 since it's being pulled further upslope, just about a foot and a half change there. We are proposing wetland replication, currently proposed at 615 square feet in the northeast section of the intersection. It's adjacent to the 200 series wetland, and the red circle on the top On the top photo shows the approximate location, and the bottom photo shows kind of looking north from the power line where that is proposed. And we're proposing native seeding and native shrubs. And here's just a screenshot of the plans for the wetland replication. We proposed elevations based on spot elevations within the 200 series wetland, and we are incorporating 2 species of shrubs. We originally had planned just for red osier dogwood, but based on in-field comments from the commission, we added in winterberry, and so we are proposing 4 red osier dogwood and 4 winterberry there. For stormwater, this project can be considered a redevelopment project. It meets standards 1, 8, 9, and 10 fully, and it meets standards 2, 3, and 4 to the maximum extent practicable. The project incorporates deep sunk catch basins, and also there are some catch basins in the existing closed drainage system that are being brought offline that will help with water quality. In addition, as we discussed earlier, it pulls the Bloody Brook outfall further into the upland instead of discharging directly into Bloody Brook as it does under the existing conditions. For regulatory compliance, this can be considered a limited project under 310 CMR 10.53F, which allows for in part maintenance, repair, and improvement of existing roadways and improving inadequate drainage systems. Section 7 of the NOI has more details of how the project complies with the different standards. MassDOT will also be submitting Army Corps of Engineers pre-construction notification due to the proposed fill-in wetlands. In summary, MassDOT created this project at the town of Deerfield's request. It will improve safety and accessibility at a high-cross intersection. The project results in impacts to bordering vegetation wetlands, riverfront area, and bank. We propose wetland replication, and impacts to resource areas were minimized while meeting the project's intended purpose and need. One other thing I wanted to mention is that this project does include bike and pedestrian accommodations in the form of shared use path. The MassDOT standard is a 10-foot wide path, but we were able to get an exception from our Complete Streets program to have a narrower path to minimize the impacts to wetlands. And one more thing that I wanted to mention that's not directly related to this project, but there was mention of a desire for more conservation type mowing in the project. I did want to let the commission know that MassDOT is conducting almost 11 acres of reduced frequency or conservation mowing in Deerfield along I-91 near the Deerfield River. This is part of MassDOT's programmatic approach to conservation to benefit the proposed endangered monarch butterfly, which is the candidate conservation agreement for assurances with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So we haven't publicized it very much, but this is a reduced mowing frequency in these areas where it does not conflict with sight distances or the safety of the motoring public. And I'll leave it there. Happy to return to any slides or answer any questions from the commission.
Great. Thank you. There's a lot of stuff there. Packet's pretty thick on this NOI. I have several questions or things to point out, but anything from the other commissioners off the bat? Kate, Sean, Ben?
Negative.
Not at this time.
What
Go
does
for it,
that say?
Pete. He
Okay.
said not at this time.
Oh, okay. Thanks. All right. On your NOI on page 2, under the, I guess it's section 2.1, page 2, under the inland bank. And a second sentence that said, could you show me where the flag series B100 through B105 are?
Sure. Let me see. I'll go back to the slide showing the wetland, mapped wetland features, and then I can this feature here.
I think
B
it's list
100 through
100 through 105.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's on, if we're, yeah, it's on the west side of Greenfield Road 5 and 10. And you know, in their NOI, there appears to have been excavated through a former railroad bed in the west of the project, collecting water draining from the mowed field to the west of the study area. The stream drains into the BVD flagged as Series 1-100. If you could point out where that drainage goes. And then the water then flows through a poorly defined channel into a catch basin. Water flowing south into an intake that eventually flows into the Bloody Brook. So is that just north of, and I'm going to call it the unapproved access road area on the west side?
So this feature.
Yeah.
Are you looking at the catch basin or which?
So it's a catch basin that comes down through.
So this catch basin is just to the north, and actually, I believe it flows north to Bloody Brook.
Okay. And it appears to have been excavated through the former railroad bed to the west. Can you show me where the excavated area is?
So that would be this area here.
So the excavation went west to east
Yes.
versus coming up north to south,
Yes.
where the railroad bed would
So the
run north
railroad
to
bed
south.
is sort of that runs along this alignment here.
Yeah.
The former
So
railroad bed.
you note that it had been excavated through the former bed. So is that, are you referring to the excavation that was done to allow that access road to the meadow behind it?
No, I think this was a separate. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
Just observing existing conditions. It is-
yeah. Well, you just note, and the state said that there was a former, there's been excavated, it appears to have been excavated. So there has been work just south of that, like where you can see that kind of access point coming in, just south of the wetlands area. There was some excavation done in that area that was not approved. And I'm just wondering if that is what you're referring to.
No, in that note, I was referring to the bank,
Okay.
which appears to have been through the form. I'm not sure when the excavation was done, but I think that's a separate
Okay.
issue.
Well, I can look at our notes and I can find out when it was done. But it was not approved through the commission. It wasn't approved in the proper channels. That is within a wetlands area that connects there. And there's two superseding agreements from the DEP that, testifies to that is in a wetlands area. So there is an access and a culvert that cuts across that access road and divides the wetlands. It may be noted now as an isolated wetlands just to the south, but it was because of that work that was done that was not approved. So the town would really want to note that part of the area should be reclaimed and should be remedied before any activity occurs in this area. We would want the at least removal of the culvert and the fill that was put in there, and then addressing, the soil types and the proper wetland species that should have been there, that was destroyed along the way. So that's kind of a primary criteria here, is to look at that, because that is on your parcel. That is owned by Mass DOT. We can go back in history to find out why it was allowed, but it was not approved by the commission at this commission or the previous commissioners, and that needs to be restored.
I will bring your concerns to Mass DOT.
Okay. And that could certainly, we probably won't get there tonight, but it could certainly become part of the order of conditions of proceeding here, to make sure that gets remedied. So that was kind of the one area there. On section 4, talked about and I'm jumping around, I'm just going through your thing. In section 4, we're talking about the drainage outfall discharging into the Bloody Brook. It's going to be removed. Replacement wall will be set back approximately 60 feet away from the brook. New outfall is designed with a flared end, with riprap. Do we have details on what the flare and the riprap size are going to be? Is that within the documents that I might have missed?
So in the plans, it's a 24-inch flared end section, and I can provide our standard detail. It's a standard item, the stone for pipe
Okay.
end, but I can provide that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Information.
That'd be great. Page 7.
And it's 60 square feet permanent impact for those two combined.
So 60 feet from,
60, so it's both 60 feet, about 60 feet away from the brook, and about, I believe it's 60 square feet of impact for the stone
Okay.
and the flared end section.
so the discharge would be 60 feet before the brook,
Yeah, approximately.
and then run down into a flare in an area. Okay.
Yeah, so it would
Riprap.
go, it would discharge, the flared end section is kind of, here, if I can get my cursor back here. Oops.
So what would the length of the riprap be in that 60 feet?
So it's a quite small area. I think
Yeah.
it might be, I'd have to double check the dimensions, but it's a small area.
Okay.
Just, yeah, 60 square feet total. So, maybe 6 feet wide, 10 feet long, something like that. I'd have to confirm the exact dimensions.
Okay, and jumping again ahead, where the wetland replication restoration area that's proposed, you gave us a little bit of information, the dogwood and winterberry. We're putting in at 4 and 4.
Mhm.
4 and 4. And what's the area? What's the linear feet of that and the width?
I know it's 615 square feet, but I don't know the length and width.
600. So if we did 20 by 300, seems like a limited number of bushes for that area.
Mhm.
So we may want to look at an increase in the number there. And maybe it doesn't have to be that size, but something different. And then I think you also note that's a native seed mix, and we need to know what that seed mix is.
Sure.
What it constitutes there.
Mhm.
And we were looking, we always look to, and I think one of your slides at the end noted the monarchs, but we always look for pollinators and pollinator-friendly type of species,
Mhm.
as well as species that are resilient. We do want to look at the mix. So if you could take a look at what you're proposing there,
Mhm.
for both pollinators and so forth. Says also the wetland replication restoration be conducted under the supervision of a wetland specialist with at least 5 years experience.
It wouldn't be me.
They wouldn't be you.
It wouldn't be most likely. I am a wetland scientist with more than 5 years of experience, but it will most likely be
So
an
we
independent.
will need the
Mhm.
name, the contact information, and the experience level
Mhm.
so that we can approve it beforehand.
Would
So
you be able to include that as a condition in the order?
yes, I think we can put it in the condition that we would require that. And so then if you're doing a restoration, replication area, restoration area, there'll also be within the orders a criteria for percentage of growth over time,
Mhm.
which is generally, I think, either 80 or 85% over 2 growing seasons. And so that specialist, if you would, the wetland specialist that would be doing it, would have to provide us reports on an annual basis to show that we have the replication. There's a lot of replication areas that have been done in the state of Massachusetts, and I think only about 30% of them really work that well. So we want to make sure that that's and done appropriately and to monitor those things
Yeah,
as well.
We welcome that as a condition as well.
Yeah, that would be under the conditions that would require that. Under the summary, I had a question. As always, a note that in my professional career, I wrote a lot of these, but the project was planned and designed to avoid wetland and water body impacts where practicable impacts. Can you define practicable? How, and you have to follow the rules and the regulations. So whether it's just practicable or you're adhering to the requirements of the WPA.
Yes. So we, as I discussed earlier, initially the roundabout was designed with much more gentle slopes
Yeah.
throughout, which caused substantially more wetlands to impact. So I worked with our designers to minimize those by steepening the slopes. We also reduced the size of the shared use path where we're that's MassDOT standard.
Yeah.
So those are the ways that we've worked to minimize those potential impacts.
Right. I know. Definitely appreciate that. But those kind of wordings, I know why they're put in there to do that, but we have to make sure it's per the regulation, not just practicable, which I can't say that word. Practicable.
Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue.
We'd also like on that, I guess we'd call it both on the east side and the west side, on the northern side of the Rotary. If we start on the west side first, where we talked about that area, that we'd like to have that some restoration done there and take care of that improper access area and culvert. But we should also have no mow signs in that area at the boundary of your property from the other side in, and also from 5 and 10 in. So, you guys have the right to mow for sight of vision and so forth as far as you can, but we want to minimize it on both sides, east and west of that side, with no mow signs. And we'll talk about, what we should put in there when we get that repaired. But they should also potentially, if you can't repair it, then a minimum have to be like a gate or something there, so there's no access point onto that road. And I'm a newbie here in town. I've only been here about 40 years, but I do drive up and down that road quite a bit, and you see a lot of folks drive into that access road because they went too far. They want to turn around, they come back out. So it's really become a safety issue as well, which is, I know, high on your concerns on the Rotary, but we don't want people to pull in, pull out, and so forth. So that's a kind of the criteria there. But we want to start the mowing there, and then on the east side, where the replication area is proposed, that area has been mowed. Looks like pretty much to a lawn level, and that should go back to a natural state of a no mowing area, no mowing maybe, once or twice a year the times that we keep away from, the various animals that are out there and so forth. So we generally try to do it later in the year. But yeah, we would look at a no-mow there. We're really trying to make that as, it would be wonderful. You're putting planning a replication area up in there, but to expand that whole area to provide even more of a riparian zone next to the upper reaches of the Bloody Brook to provide more of a sponge concept of flood management. So we'd love to see you come back with some of those kind of ideas too to help us up there.
Okay, well, I'll plan to discuss with the relevant sections. I know we have included in our specifications for the wetland replication area, no mow signs for that area, certainly. And how, particularly on the west side of the roadway, because we do need to maintain site distances for
Right.
safety, but how far were you proposing?
No, I'm not proposing anything per se. I'm just for consideration there, but it would be within your site of vision requirements.
Mhm.
And so that would be the start, and then take it right back to the property line for the next property line above you. I think it's lot 29 and 30, the two that connect right there or something. So that would kind of, on the west side is easy, on the front side, it's as much of a safety issue as anything else. I'd love to see the trees coming right down to the edge, but that's not always good.
Yeah, we definitely need to, protect safety.
Yeah.
so.
No. I don't want to be accused of any of that stuff. Just a quick question on the replication area. What was the ratio from the amount that you're taking away? We're like 1 point something?
1 point, I'd have to double check, but I believe it's 1.6 to 1 currently,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. So that's generally good. The requirement is a 1-to-1 ratio. And we often ask for 2, but a 1.6, 1.7 is in a good spot. And there was one other thing I had someplace. Oh yeah, in one of your charts, I didn't see it up here, and I don't know what the name is. It's in the stormwater management report. It's this guy.
Oh, yes. I actually thought that might come up, so I have a couple extra slides at the end here. Were you interested in the existing watershed or the proposed?
The existing area and discharge points, and then the proposed ones.
Okay, so this is currently showing the existing watershed, and the discharge point 1 here is the one that we've been looking at, the existing outfall, which we're proposing to move upslope. And then discharge point 2 is where it enters where this wetland area enters the catch basin, and then goes to the north and discharges outside of the project area. We're not touching that discharge point.
So EX-2 is that small basin on the upper side of on the west side?
EX-2.
And then it crosses over underneath the highway?
Yeah, so all the flow goes, up to the north here.
Okay.
And then I believe it discharges actually on that same side into Bloody Brook to the north. Because
Yeah,
Bloody Brook
it
crosses.
goes up a little bit and then comes across and back
Yeah.
down through.
Mhm.
Okay. So that is the one just above where that access road is and where the culvert, and so that leads more water that comes down through. There's a swale coming this way, but as they change that, so there's more water coming through that. So that's that little catch basin that, in the spring backs up there. Okay.
Yeah, and just to clarify, this area where the swale, the new swale is going in, that goes to this discharge point 3, and enters into the drainage system there.
Right. And so we're not talking about any new discharge points or any
Nope.
new, well, there's only one entry into Bloody Brook, one discharge there. So no additional new ones coming in and no going out.
Nope.
Okay. All right. That's great. And thank you for spending some time with us the other morning on the 11th.
Yeah, thank you. for your
Reviewing it
time.
was very helpful. So I guess I would suggest that I brought up certain questions and concerns. Um, I would suggest that we probably continue the hearing to next month.
Yeah, and I think we had talked about the next meeting being on, I believe, what, the 30th, because you're unavailable on the 4th
Yeah.
Thursday. So let me just check my calendar quick.
So let me, I'll just summarize and I'll ask the commissioners to, if they have any other comments, but the probably some of the bigger areas to consider when we come back to it from you next time is that access road area, reclaiming that and getting that culvert out of that, so forth. On the east side, going up, a little bit more detail. We might need some more shrubbery put in there. Details on the type of mix and so forth there. The no-mo signs, the gate access, just considerations there. So those will probably be the things. Anything else then? Any questions for the commissioners before I send it off to them?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Hope I didn't get you too much there, but there's a lot of details still to work through here. Anything else from the commissioners? Kate, Sean, Ben?
Sean Libby, no questions?
Kate Devlin, none at this time.
Ben Byrne, none.
Okay. And then I would, if somebody wants to make the motion to continue the hearing, I would suggest we continue the hearing till April 30th, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Sean Libby, I'll make a motion to continue the notice of intent hearing for Mass DOT 5 and 10 in Mill Village Rotary to the next scheduled meeting of April 30th, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Ben Byrne, I'll second.
Okay. Any other comments from the commissioners? If not, there's a motion on the table to continue the hearing to the 30th. Take a quick roll call vote on that. Sean Libby,
Sean Libby, aye.
Ben Byrne,
Ben Byrne, aye.
Kay Devlin,
Kate Devlin, aye.
Pete Law, aye. So we'll close out the hearing for the moment, and anything you can get us beforehand, at least 3 days before, is really great. Then it'll give us some time to consider.
Great. Yeah, I'll definitely be able to provide those details on the seed mix and a few other
Okay.
those more technical things in advance.
All right.
Thank
Great.
you so much.
All right. Thank you. All right. Continuing through the agenda item. Other business, Conservation Fund update from the Open Space Committee.
Good evening. I'm Julie Caswell. I'm the chair of the Open Space Committee. And joining me at the table here is Alan Swedlund, who is a member of the Open Space Committee. And I'm also seeing Andrea Liebson on the Zoom, another Open Space Committee member. So this is an opportunity to have a conversation between the Open Space Committee and the Conservation Commission to just update where we are on the establishment of a conservation fund And like to first just thank the Conservation Commission for working on this with us. Pete and Sean were our liaisons, and Amy's worked with us. The town administrators, Christopher and Alex, and the town council have been working on this. The Open Space Committee, of course. And a lot of work was done by the Community Preservation Committee to work out the arrangements for an allocation of funding from CPC funds to the conservation fund. And so I also see on Zoom we have Kathy Sylvester, the chair of the CPC, is here, and Sean Libby was also is also a member of the CPC and has worked a lot on this. So what I wanted to do was sort of a quick update, and then see if there's questions from the commissioners about where we are with the process. So this is a joint effort by the Conservation Commission and the Open Space Committee to establish a conservation fund for the town of Deerfield. It requires a two-part process. First of all, the conservation fund has to be established, and that requires a warrant article by the town at town meeting. And then we have also, the second part is funding the conservation fund, and that would be with Community Preservation Act funds and the application that the Conservation Commission and the Open Space Committee made to CPC for $100,000 to fund the for the initial funding of the conservation fund. So where we're at is thinking about the establishment of the fund, and then the allocation of the fund, of the money to the fund. So establishing the Deerfield Conservation Fund, I think Amy's distributed to the committee members or the commission members our write-up of what we're proposing. As I said, it requires a warrant article at town meeting to establish, and then we have worked on operating procedures for the Deerfield Conservation Fund. And basically these are following what people have been doing in other towns, and of course following Massachusetts law on the establishment of conservation funds. And under that law, the town meeting vote is really what controls the scope of what the conservation fund can use the money in the fund for. And in this case, we're asking for the Community Preservation Committee to, and the committee has approved and recommends to town meeting the allocation of $100,000 to this fund to start the fund off. So we're really looking at the Conservation Fund, of course, is run by the Conservation Commission, and the Conservation Commission makes the decisions about the use of the fund. We are recommending that the Conservation Commission establish an ad hoc subcommittee to advise the Conservation Commission, and that would have 2 members of the Conservation Commission and 2 members of the Open Space Committee. They would not be doing a formal vote on a proposal, but they would be making recommendations and giving feedback on it. So the proposals for expending the conservation fund would be made by a short application to the Conservation Commission. And the idea is that this would be a rolling process. Someone could make a application at any time, and then it would be reviewed at the time of the application. So that's the idea for establishing the actual conservation fund, what would be required to do it. And then the other part is the second part, which is the allocation of Community Preservation Act funds. We did apply to CPC for this $100,000. So the joint application by the Conservation Commission and Open Space. And the CPC spent extensive amount of time evaluating this proposal and making sure that it is in alignment with CPC rules by the state of Massachusetts, and also would include requirements that the CPC, the Deerfield CPC, thinks are appropriate for a conservation fund. So we have a grant agreement letter that was worked on by the CPC that outlines general conditions and special conditions for use of the fund. It's very specific as to what kind of conservation projects could be funded and all the requirements that would go along with it. So what we are looking and hoping to have happen is that at town meeting on May 11th, that both of these warrant articles will be put forth by the town, and that would be the first warrant article being establishing the fund, and the second one being the funding with Community Preservation Act funds. So that's kind of the overview of where we've been. The final approval of the grant agreement letter was by the CPC last evening. It's unanimous, 8-0. Community Preservation Committee supporting this idea for Deerfield. So I want to open it. Alan or Andrea, any comments? No, okay. Kathy and Sean?
I would just say that Julie and the Open Space Committees put an awful lot of work into this, and I really commend them for their effort. I think it's a great idea, and I hope we can move forward on it.
This is Sean. I think Kathy also deserves an awful lot of thanks on this, but Julie really seemed to have done a lot of heavy lifting. So kudos to putting all this together. I've reviewed it all. I think it's all fantastic. I would probably propose that the Concom can support one position in an ad hoc committee. And I would take on that role, but we are a small committee. So that would be my one proposition, is that maybe not two of us out of the four that we have right now, since the majority of our members work. That, and my expectation is that either the Concom or Open Space, and I could see either board having opportunities to have other opportunities to request funds from CPC. But in order for this to have a real impact, I think we should have the expectation would be a yearly budget request for 100K from CPC funds to go into this conservation fund, so that we can make big, bold moves when land comes available, as well as supporting all the other smaller projects that this will support. So that's all I have to say. I support it big time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everybody. And John, I appreciate the, looking at just one of us from the commission, but hopefully at next week's select board meeting, we'll be back up to 5. We'll get somebody appointed so we can share the wealth a little bit, I hope. Because I do like the concept of 2 and 2. It just makes it easier. Is the warrant language put together yet for the town meeting?
No.
No, okay.
And I think Chris is working on it even as we speak.
Oh, okay. Come on, Chris, get going. And did you say it's 2 warrant articles that's going to be required?
Yes, so one article is to actually establish the fund because Deerfield does not have a conservation fund.
Yeah.
And the conservation fund is, can be the funding for it can come from multiple sources like gifts or bequests
Right.
or anything else. So the fund is sort of its own entity. It needs to be established. The second warrant article, every project that the CPC Community Preservation puts forward comes to town meeting as an article.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that will be the actual funding article.
Yeah, I appreciate the how it all works. I did have another question. What was it? I don't think we can appoint to the ad hoc committee yet until the town meeting approves I guess the first warrant, but it probably need to be 2, and then we'll have to bring that up at a later meeting to do that. But I do agree that that's probably a good idea to have something put together there. So we can hold on that. One other question. It escapes my mind. Kate, do you have a question? It was right there a minute ago. Yeah, it's tough to get old, you know. Okay. Any other questions on the presentation or the conservation fund from any of the commissioners? We have supported it. We've written letters of support from the Conservation Commission. I think we just have to kind of wait to see what the language is for the town warrant and what happens at the town meeting. Anything that the commission can do to provide additional support at the town meeting or
yeah, I think, making it known to the select board that the Conservation Commission is very much in support of this, thinks it's a great idea to forward open space protection in the town is very welcome. I think, in terms of public announcements and information for residents of Deerfield, I think we need to wait and make sure that see the warrant articles and be ready and be able to say you'll be voting on warrant article number X and why X does this and Y does that. I think that's really important. I think it's really just important to note to everybody, which is very true, is that this is a new enterprise for the town, and so it has taken a lot of levels of work from the CPC and Conservation Commission, the Open Space and Town Administration, Town Council, everybody to figure out all the parts to how it will work, because it's new.
Yeah, and you did jog my memory. The question was going to be, how do we notify and educate people before the town meeting? But you're going to wait till after the warrant, and somebody of us will put out some information, or how does that work?
I think the Open Space Committee, Amy? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought you were about to say something.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm happy to post it. Well, I have to see what we can certainly post information about, on web pages, on the conservation page, I try and post relevant documents. So I think maybe, some of that explanation of what the fund is, I can post to, the CPC and or the Concom page. I don't think we can, rah rah and say vote for this, but I can certainly post information and make it available.
You can put up the information. And the
Yeah, I can
information
put up the
just say
information on
what
the
kinda
pages
can't be done.
for that
Yeah.
people can look at so they can educate themselves.
Yeah.
We can also do that on open space on the town website. And then I think we would be looking at basically explainers, probably a page at the most that just says, this is what it is, this is what it would do.
Yeah. And there's a certain marketing aspect to it all before we get there.
Yeah, and like I said, if you want to send me materials, like I said, explanation, I can't, put up something that's like a campaign of,
No.
vote for, but
Right.
things that explain what it is, send that to me. Let me know where you'd like it posted, and I'm happy to post it.
Okay.
And in past town meetings, we've also had some items, paper items at the meeting that people walk in and can kind of look at. And I think that would be useful in this case as well.
Yeah, I think it really would be because you generally go by 2 sets of tables of information. Generally sit down with this page and that page and kind of look through them, and it does help. But if there's some those kind of people that still work on a lot of paper, it'd be nice to have a handout to explain it and so forth.
And probably a letters to the recorder would be useful.
Yeah, yeah.
Quick question. Do you know if they anticipate, maybe on the table as you come into town hall there where there's always information, are some of the warrant articles going to have paper pieces available there, or do you know if that's going to?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Just curious whether that's a possibility. But thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good. Wish you all luck and wish us luck for that.
We will be back in touch.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
have a
you.
good evening now. All right. Next on the agenda this evening is just a quick discussion on the bundled NOI. So the town of Deerfield does have a bundled NOI in place that we extended for 2 years. I think it's in place till 2027, 29.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up, but I think, at least 2027 and maybe.
Yeah, it was 2 year. And it has never really been utilized, for a lot of projects. And so I've been working with the superintendent of the DPW as well as Chief Pachorik, who's in charge of the emergency management director is the other title. And we're trying to work with that. And Tim has been very helpful in reviewing it. And as we sat down with the initial list of projects that the DPW had, it just raised a lot of questions. Is this one applicable? Is that one applicable? Because they have to come to us by the bundled NOI. They're supposed to come to the commission for us to approve them on a one-time basis. So before they came to us, we were trying to work through some of those issues. And the requests were pretty voluminous of the numbers, and they didn't all fit into what was in the criteria. And as we started to read the bundled NOI that we approved, I think 3 years ago, at most, there's a lot of kind of, I don't want to say discrepancies, but questions arose as you read this sentence versus that sentence of what you can and can't do. We got further information from the DEP, and Tim has done a really deep dive. Thank you very much for all the research on this, of what's in the WPA, what's in their various documents. We've got copies from other towns of what they have had accepted and so forth. So I think we have and Tim, please, you're much more on top of this than I am, but we have a pretty good understanding, I think, of what can and can't be done within a bundled NOI. And it's pretty much work on an existing culvert, the actual culvert and the infrastructure. So the head walls, the side walls, culvert itself, roadways. That can be done. Any other work that's in a jurisdictional area, within a wetlands or a boarding BBW area, is not allowed under that. So we need to get back to the town's consultant that put this together, which I'll be sending a note out probably tomorrow, Tim, to see if I can get a meeting next week to go through it again. So that's kind of the background of what Tim and I have been working on with Matt and Chief. But there's a lot more work to do. But it may have to come back to us. And we're trying to find a way to come back to us without opening up a request for a new NOI, but just amending by discussion the current NOI that's in place. So I hope that I got that right and it makes sort of sense, but it's not as straightforward as we all thought it was going to be. All right, any questions on that? Thoughts, comments? Okay. Yeah, Tim.
So I think that the main mismatch between the bundled NOI and what Highway would like to do is they'd like to remove silt buildup at the outflow of culverts in town as maintenance. The current bundled NOI as it stands says this BNOI does not propose work within bordering vegetated wetlands, land under water bodies and waterways, or banks associated with rivers, lands, or ponds. A WPA Form 3 Notice of Intent application is provided in Appendix A. So right there in the introduction, it basically says that the bundled NOI doesn't cover what they're trying to do with that. We did reach out to the DEP circuit rider, Mark Stinson, and he provided us with some examples of other bundled NOIs for other towns, along with DEP comments on those bundled NOIs. And attached to the Stockbridge bundled NOI, where they had clear language on work that could be done cleaning out silt from the culvert itself. The DEP commented, the commission and applicant should note that where the word culvert is mentioned, it only refers to stormwater conveyances, not to stream crossings or a culvert connecting two wetland systems. The NOI/OOC should also not allow work on the actual stormwater discharge point that is located within jurisdiction. So I think we're at a point where we can amend or look at the language in the bundled NOI to make it clearer what can or cannot be done. But I don't see any way to accomplish what they're looking to accomplish.
Yeah, appreciate that, Tim. Like I said, Tim's been really deep diving into this. And one of the problems with the initial NOI language was a definition of culvert. And it wasn't defined whether it was stormwater conveyance or a stream crossing type of culvert. And that makes a big difference. So we have some work to do. So that's the update there. General discussions. Does anybody else in the commission have any general discussion this evening? I think, Kate, we only have the 2 site visits on the 11th. You have that information?
Yep.
Okay. Public comments? Anybody? I think we lost our public, so that's good. All right. There was a piece of mail that we had in our package from Lyon and Fitzpatrick LLP attorneys regarding the Attorney General for the Commonwealth of Mass versus the estate of John Romanowski and the estate of Stanley Romanowski, Western Division Housing Court document. And it's a little 1 paragraph thing, and I'm not even sure what it says.
I think it's basically the notice that the that property is in receivership and
Okay,
that the
that's right.
receiver is now getting ready to sell, or, or close it out, however they work that.
Yeah, so it's a
I think
notice of
it's sort of-
receivers.
so, yes, this property is
Okay.
changing hands.
Good. It's a lot of court documents that I was like, what does this mean? But thank you, Amy. That's the update there. There's no other mail, right? Any items unanticipated? Oh, one thing, this is mostly for Kate and Sean, but we have kind of seemed to hit a dead end with the wetland signage project at Treehouse. I can't think of her name. She had left. There's a new woman, Carolyn, somebody maybe now. Gretchen has been, my wife, who's on the ad hoc committee working on this, has been reaching out once a month, but we're not getting anything back. What would you all suggest for the next steps?
I think we were sort of hoping that that the treehouse folks would give us some feedback on what we had kind of put together and put their spin on it. They're the people who do graphic design and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because none of us are graphic designers, yeah, so we weren't really, I don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
Unless we come up with signs that we would like to see and just present them as the signs we want to see.
All right.
We're
trying to do it at their kind of time and cost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We were kind of hoping they would do the signs for us with the information we provided.
Do you know the contact at all? The new
I
contact?
don't.
No. Sean, any info there?
Nothing additional.
I could reach out as kind of unofficially, officially, kind of note that this project has stalled. Where are we at? If that would help.
Yeah, I was thinking, I can find out who our current contact is.
I know
but
it is. I can't think.
I mean, this was a condition of their NOI. Is that not true that they would put up these signs?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's tied to an NOI. I think it was a separate project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it might have
Yeah, I
just
mean,
been
feet to the fire, when, when the train
more of a
goes down.
verbal agreement.
The owner was excited about it
Yeah,
when we met with him and did a walk around.
yeah.
Um,
So if we can find out the contact Amy, the owner's name is one of the owners is not Derek. I have his
Damien.
name. What was it?
Damien, I don't remember the last name.
Damien, yeah. But if you think it would be worthwhile for me to send a note or reach out and try to make it a little bit more official, because I'm not sure we're getting anywhere otherwise.
that might kick
Okay.
things along.
All right. I'll send them a nice.
Because well, when we did meet with some of their marketing folks, they seemed to be excited about it. But then we had an intermediary between us and the marketing folks, so there was no direct
Yeah.
sort of communication. So then, yeah, it's stalled.
All right.
I feel bad because it's.
Yeah, it'd be a great area. They've done some nice work up there. It'd be a nice area for, educational purposes. And at some point, I'm assuming they will come back to us that they're going to want to start the access road.
Yeah.
Because that'll have to be an erosion control review. Okay, I'll take that one on. If anything else? No, okay, so the upcoming meeting would be on April 30th. That's what's in the meeting packet. So it'd be the next week, April 30th, starting at 6 p.m. If there's nothing else from the commissioners, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
John Libby, make a motion to adjourn at 7:33.
Ben Byrne, I'll second.
All right, pretty straightforward motion on the table. Everybody agree? John Libby,
John Libby, aye.
Ben Byrne,
Ben Byrne.
Kate Devlin,
Kate Devlin, aye.
Pete Law, aye. So we are adjourned. Thank you.